This is RHINAR, and this is Romping Club. In this video I'm going to go over this super unique deck list that my good friend Pros put me onto. So with the deck list he gave me, he was sick of RHINAR players forcing themselves into having to play chaff 6 power attacks, and instead wanted to get more creative in his deck building. So he sent me the list he came up with and told me there are 3 simple steps as a game plan, which were 1. Block a lot, 2. Send above rate attacks, and then 3. Finish like this. So let's go over the deck real quickly before we get into one of my gameplays. So the deck revolves around intimidating the opponent's entire hand while swinging in for upwards of 20 damage to one-shot your opponent out of nowhere. The main way we're going to achieve this through is 9 barraging beatdowns and our 3 blood rush bellows. How we're going to be setting this up is by pitch stacking them early to allow for us to play them all in the same turn to either take over the game from there or simply just win on the spot. And so with that understanding that once we reach our pitch stack, we should be able to just kill our opponent on the spot. The only thing we have to do is make sure we get there safely. And we do this by running the best defensive cards we have access to in 3 Sync Belows, 3 Fate Foreseen, and 3 Sigil of Solaces. We aim to play out all of these cards in the first cycle of our deck to guarantee that we make it to our stack. We follow this up with high on-rate attacks to either disrupt or dish out big damage to chunk our opponent before we guarantee the win later on. And we do this with cards like Command and Conquer, Enlightened Strike, Swing Bigs, and Rolling Thunder. We then round out the deck list with 8 pack hunts. We use the 8 pack hunts as a way to look for an early combo kill if the situation arises that we can double intimidate their hand into a pack hunt. These cards also double up as amazing cards to put into our pitch stack at the exact same time. And that's the important stuff for this deck list, but that's enough explaining, and let's get into the gameplay. So here we're up against a Fatigue Bolton. They go in first and they throw a blue Express Lightning at us, charging a card. I decide to get a block in to filter my hand, so all goods, and then they just pass it to us. Over on our turn, we draw into a pack hunt. Just going to pitch this red barraging and blood rush to start our pitch stack, while still pressuring our opponent here. Opponent blocks for 3, taking 3 down to 37. We arsenal this Fate Foreseen and pass it over. On their turn, they're going to play a Sharpened Steel and then swing in with the Axe for 7. Really annoying weapon to block, but just going to throw the Give and Take in there to eat the Axe's effect, and then we react with the Fate Foreseen from Arsenal. The Opt actually finds us another barraging beatdown, which is perfect, so going to bottom that, put it into our stack, and we take 1 down to 39. They pass it over. On our turn, our stack is looking pretty insane already when we pitch our Swing Big and our 3rd barraging beatdown to the bottom of our deck, while still swinging in for 4 with our club. Opponent has a D-react, so takes nothing. No real reason to play the Sigil now though. Just going to arsenal it as a bait for their opponent to play a CNC or make them play around a pummel in the future. So we pass it over. Opponent's turn, they have a big one of double cleave into Swing Axe for 12. So a massive 3 card hand from them. I would have loved to be able to stack these additional barragings and pack hunts into our stack, but since our stack's already insane, I'd rather preserve our life total just to make sure we get there instead. So we full block the 12, axes make it 11, so we end up taking 1 down to 38, but they get the time walk us. They pass it to us and we pass it back. So their turn again, they play out a Sharpened Steel, then swing in for 7 with the axe. Just going to double block this with the spare blues in hand to make sure I don't pitch them into my stack. Opponent Iron Song responses me, so I end up taking 5 down to 33, but they pass it to us. So finally we're going to get a turn. Just going to play Rolling Thunder off of the Tunic, only rolling a 2, and then we pitch yet another barrage beat down to the club to come in for 6. So stack is looking massive right now, just got to get there, but the opponent covers up the axe with the Sink Below and their crown for 6, and we pass it over. So over on their turn, they play a red Felling Swing into Swing Axe for 10. Happy to block with this hand while keeping the blood rush, so we end up leaking 2 damage down to 31, but they arsenal and pass to us. And then over on our turn, just going to continue stacking while pressuring with the club, swinging in for 4. So right now I'm thinking my stack is pretty much locked to kill them once I get there, but opponent blocks for 3, taking 1, and then we just pass it to them. Over to them, they're just going to swing in for 4 with the Decimator. Seems a little suspicious to me though, so I'm just going to block for 3 and see what they have. They end up playing a blue Iron Song, which I quickly respond with my Sink Below to cover up the attack, while sinking my 6 power attack to go with the Blood Rush that I just pitched last turn. Sync draws us into a High Roller, and then they pass it to us. So over on our turn, just a little setup turn here. Gonna play out the Sigil and the Potion. Opponent responds with their own Sigil, so everyone's gaining some life here. Arsenal the High Roller and pass it over. So opponent's turn, they just swing for 4 here. I'm expecting another reaction like last time, so I'm just gonna block for 3 with the barraging to try bait it out. We pass priority in the reaction step, but they don't actually have a reaction here. So, oh shit, I got. So we take 2 down to 32, and then they pass it to us with extra cards left over. So we go to my turn. They didn't have any reactions last turn, so I'm 99% sure that they have multiple D-reacts in their arsenal and their hand right now. So I'm just going to punish them by playing the high roller to hopefully intimidate one of the D-reacts, and then swing in with my CNC, which can't be D-reacted either. All while at the same time pitching yet another pack hunt into our stack. So I think we're in the right because the opponent just ends up taking 6 down to 33 and shows the Steel Blade Shunt in arsenal. So massive win for us. Just going to arsenal his Fate Foreseen now and pass it over. So over to them with 4 cards. They're once again just swinging in for 4 with the axe. So now I'm certain that they'll still have more D-reacts in hand. I'm just going to double block this for 6. They have no reacts and just pass it to us. My turn's pretty simple, just pitching the 56th Barraging Beatdown into my stack, or swinging with a Smash Instinct for 6 with Intimidate. Opponent blocks it out with another Steel Blade off of their tunic, all goods, pass it to them. Over on their turn, just another axe for 4, but I'm going to get greedy here and just take 4 since I have a nice hand. So we're down to 28 and then they pass it to us. On my turn, just going to push some extra damage with E-Strike Go again. Opponent Fate Foreseens it, taking 1 down to 32. Then we follow up with a Swing Big for 8. Opponent has the Immovable for it, so goddamn, they just shut us down for being really greedy. Whoops. But all goods, we pass it to them. Then before we can do that, they even gain another 3 life in my face with a Sigil, so damn. But whatever. Over on their turn, they just swing in with the axe. All good, just going to Fate Foreseen it, bottoming whatever I see just to get the stack a little bit faster. But we end up taking 2 down to 26. They pass to us. My turn, just going to swing in with the Swing Big while wrapping a pummel off the tunic. Opponent full blocks the Swing Big with 2 cards in the Brave Forge Braces for 8. In the reaction step, just going to give them a little scare with a slam with a Sigil. So we end up gaining 3 up to 29. Arsenal to sink below and pass it over. Their turn, they've got a 2 card hand of Cleave into Axe for 8 off of the tunic. So big turn for them. So just going to block it out with the Wrecker Romp to eat the axe effect and then sink below after that. So we only end up taking 2 down to 27 while sinking a card to get to the stack that little bit faster. So all goods, they pass to us. My turn, another simple one, Smash Instinct for 6 with Intimidate. Opponent actually opts to take the 6 here down to 29. So a little scary, but I arsenal the E-Strike, pass it to them. Over on their turn, they're just going to play out a blue Felling Swing and attack in for 8 with the axe. Not too scary and I'm pretty close to stack now, so just going to double block this with the 2 blues in hand and taking 3 down to 24. They just arsenal and ship it back. My turn, just going to do what my good friend Proz taught me what to do, and that's just play above rate attacks here with an E-Strike for 7. Opponent has a Soul Shield here to be able to block 6, so they only take 1, but now I arsenal the Blood Rush and I pass it over. On their turn, swing in for 4 with the axe. Simple block, taking 2 down to 22, then they pass it back to us. So my turn, I'm actually going to get greedy here and hold the red Barraging in hand, even though IP penalties myself. But instead I'm just going to play out the Rolling Thunder into the club off the blue. We roll a 4, so the club is coming in for 8 now. Opponent has the last Steel Blade Shunt and a Sigil, so they end up gaining life this turn, and we take 1. But all goods, we pass it to them. So their turn, they swing in with the axe for 4 once again. I'm very close to the stack, so I'm just going to sink the axe here, sinking the other D-react in my hand. And we're there. We drew into that first Blood Rush that we pitched from the start of the game. So all goods, take 2 down to 19, they pass it to us. So over to our turn, it sucks that it's only a 4 card hand right now, but we're just going to go for it anyway. Play the red Barraging and then tunic into the Blood Rush from hand to intimidate a second card. Draw into 2 more Barragings. We play both of those as well, intimidating our opponent's whole hand. We then crack our E-Pot and swing in with the club for 17 while intimidating all 4 of their cards. Lucky for the opponent though, they have the yellow Shunt in arsenal and plays that off of tunic along with the last block from their Brave Forge. So they end up taking 10 down to 18, but this is only the beginning and we pass it to them. So over on their turn, we don't care about anything they send at us right now, but they swing in with the axe for 4. Just going to block 2 with our scabs, take 2, and then they pass it to us. So on our turn, as you can see by our hand, we get to go double Barraging into Blood Rush to intimidate 3 cards, drawing into 2 pack hunts. Pitch the yellow pack hunt to swing with the red one for 15 while intimidating the last card in the opponent's hand. Opponent pops their boots here to save 2 life, taking 13 down to 5. In hindsight here though, I should have swung with the yellow pack hunt instead of the red one, just to keep a 6 power attack with that pitched Blood Rush that we did last time. But all goods, we pass it over. Their turn, once again, just swinging in with the axe for 4, give him some equipment block with my Skull Crushers, take 3 down to 13, they pass it back. So here, if you've noticed, I'm running low on cards here, so I'm going to have to set up for the last push now. I swing in with the club for 4, the opponent uses a Fate Foreseen to cover it up, play the Sigil to gain another 3, arsenal this pack hunt, and then pass it to them. Their turn, they're just going to axe again for 4, no real reason to block here, so just take 4 down to 12, and they pass it back. So here we go, gonna go for it. If I roll the scabs and get 2 action points, I can intimidate my opponent's whole hand here and swing twice with pack hunt and club for the finish. So we roll and fuck, it's a 3. But no worries, just gonna play this Clearing Bellows so that I draw into the Blood Rush faster, and then swing in with the pack hunt for 5 with double intimidate. Opponent gives us the Tunic and actually goes down to 1 here, but we arsenal the High Roller and keep the 6 power in hand and pass it over. So opponent's turn, they have the red Felling swing, and then they swing in with the axe for 10. I give them the rest of my equipment and sink the Fate Foreseen here, since I know the Blood Rush is on the top of my deck. No reacts from the opponent, so I end up just taking 7 down to 5, and they pass it to us. So here we are at turn 18. I could do this the safe way and just E-Strike go again into Blood Rush off of Tunic, blah 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 blah, but the gambling addict in me told me I was due a win on the scabs. So I said, fuck it, let's roll the scabs, and boom, it's a 5, baby, let's go. So now I'm just going to double high roller them, intimidating 2 cards, play the Blood Rush, pitching the E-Strike, drawing into a pack hunt and a blue, to swing in for 8 while intimidating their whole hand, and that's all she wrote. GG's. But that's it for the gameplay and the deck tech. Shout out once again to my friend Pros for hooking me up with such a fun deck to play. I'll leave a link to the deck list in the description like always, but that's it for the video. I'm outie.